Okay, cool.
Nice.
And then
Sick.
hopefully
I did it.
wave your hand or something if you can't hear this.
Nice.
Blessed with a championship prosperity the likes of which we have never seen. Cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
Calling all Autobots.
Hell yeah.
That's saucy.
I like that.
That was nice. Was that Morgan Freeman? Were you able to get him for the?
That was
Yeah.
yours truly. With voice modification software.
It's
What's
Morgan
up, everybody?
Freeman.
Welcome back to Blursed, the Atlanta sports podcast, bringing you the blessed and the cursed of all Atlanta sports. We got to see both sides of that this weekend, to the extreme, unfortunately. Yeah, today's November 8th, episode 25.
We shall kill all Decepticons.
We got Blake.
All
We got guys.
Autobots.
What's up, folks?
Blake's doing impressions over here. I got him
I
excited. with the drops.
that intro just makes me think of Optimus Prime, and I just think it's so cool. I don't know. I like it.
Calling all Blurst Nation. Come together. Listen up.
Yeah, what's up? Happy Monday, everybody. Or happy Tuesday to the folks listening, but happy Monday to you guys recording here. What a weekend. What a weekend. Falcons, Dawgs on top. Phillies lost, thank God.
Yes.
Love
So
that.
good. Hawks win. Just everything's right with the world. All that you knew would happen happened.
You said it right there, and I have to touch on it. The city of Philadelphia being brought back down to earth in such a brutal, like almost an Atlanta fashion. They lost 2 major championships in the same day.
Same day, folks.
Maybe 5 hours apart, which is
Mhm.
It gives me chill bumps, man. It makes me very happy. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the Phillies obviously lost to the Astros in Game 6, and then the Philadelphia Union lost to LAFC.
Correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
LAFC.
didn't just lose; they they lost in PKs, which takes place after 120
minutes.
Plus
Yeah.
some stop it, plus some change. Yeah.
So it's essentially double overtime for soccer, which is
Yes.
crazy. So
It is.
yes,
Also-
it felt good after these people had been commenting on my TikToks from Philadelphia and stuff like that. So
And especially since the way
Eat
that
it.
it went down, the Union scored late in relegation, or I'm sorry, in regulation to take the lead, and LAFC actually scored not long after to bring it back to a tie. So Philadelphia had the ultimate high of like, holy shit, we're gonna win
What's
our
gonna
first
happen?
championship in this sport. And then it got ripped back down, and then further ripped down when they ended up ultimately losing the game.
What I
That's
also
what
like. Oh, sorry.
that's what I was telling Blake beforehand. We were watching the Georgia game in the bar, and then the TV right next to it was the MLS Cup. And so I would
Yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention to like the gameplay at all. I would just check in on the score every once in a while, and like I
Right.
was so confused like how it was in extra time to begin with, and then I was confused how it got to PKs too because I wasn't watching like every play. I was like, it's
Yes.
like right
What
before time is like they end up tied every single time. So
Yeah, it was awesome.
an exciting
It's
game.
hilarious.
So this year was like actually the best team from the East, but the best team in the West in the MLS championship. Like it was the 2
Yeah.
number 1 seeds.
And an extra little cool thing is that neither team had ever been to the MLS Cup before. So this was LAFC's first ever title, first ever appearance there.
Crazy.
So
I have a
yeah,
question for
it's
you, Aaron.
nice to see new teams get in there. What's up?
Why did I not know that Gareth Bale came off the bench for LAFC?
I don't know, man. I thought we
He
talked
comes off
about
the
it.
bench.
In
for
fact,
them?
I'm certain that we talked about it when he joined it on Blurst. But yeah, he comes off the bench for him, but not in the way that you might think. He's
Mhm.
what you call a super sub, and so he's an older player who is still really, really good, but doesn't have the legs to go full 90 or 120 minutes. So they bring him on around the 60th minute, but yeah, he's the guy that kicked the go ahead PK to
win
to
the game.
Ooh,
Old
that
Gareth
has to
Bale.
be that's like a walk off feeling right there.
Yes. He's preparing for the World Cup too. But Gareth Bale will lead Wales against the United States
Ooh.
in the first matchup of the World Cup.
I really like too, Aaron, that Philadelphia is a team that you said got there because like there's just one of those gritty teams that play really hard. But you did say they lack that star power up top, and
They
I'm not saying that's
do.
what lost them the game because it was actually a really close game.
Yes.
And it came down to it. But
I actually wanted Philly to win, even though I generally hate Philly things. But they're the team they're who you look up to. Like they do everything the right way. They build through their academy. They promote from within, coaching wise. They're able to do it successfully. It's pretty cool to watch. But
that's awesome.
Didn't work out this year.
Always next year.
Indeed, Leo.
Except for we're gonna win next year, so
of course.
Naturally.
We should hope.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of cursed things, let's get into more of the Blursed with our Blursed of the week.
Yep.
Wait.
Blursed of the week.
Yes.
I love it.
Let's go.
Thank you.
I
Professionals.
love it. I love it. Who had one?
Blake, to avoid what happened last week, since I'm kind of doing mine on the fly, why don't you say yours?
Oh,
you guys sandwich me, and then that'll give.
All right, so my Blursed of the week's actually like degrees of separation, and it's we're going back a little bit in time. The benching of Matt Ryan now has Jeff Saturday as the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh,
it does.
boy.
That's a good
Isn't that
point.
not awesome?
No, that is.
It's funny too. Twitter's been on fire today talking about it. Like, what's his merits? He's only coach. I mean, one, he's a Hall of Fame center.
He's a Hall of Fame center.
Yeah, like and he played with Peyton Manning, was one of the greatest minds in football history. So
exactly.
I mean, could they've done a worse hire? Probably, yeah. There's a lot of worse people they could have hired.
Worse hire. They could have hired Arthur Smith. That's worse than
he was working as a consultant to the team for about 2 weeks earlier this year. So
yeah, man, he's familiar enough.
Well, OTJ training.
If you're trying to tank, well, who better to put in just a culture guy, good culture guy? I don't know. I'm fine with Jeff Saturday. They're not going to win. They're not going to playoffs anyways. They're not winning much. You know what John Fox can do.
It's so funny, especially like these teams that have owners that are a little bit too involved. Which, if I owned a team, that would definitely be me. I would definitely be like Jerry Jones. But Jim Irsay is like, I don't know, off-brand Jerry Jones. I mean, it feels like he lucked into Peyton Manning, and then that's how he got one championship, and then he does everything he can to shoot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
Should have won more. Should definitely had more when you have Peyton, Reggie, and Marvin Harrison for all those years. Not a good look.
I thought they just won one.
Yeah,
they only won one.
No, I said they should have won more.
Won. Oh, yeah.
Peyton
won an additional one after that.
Yeah,
Peyton only won two is really sad too.
Also, there's a little bit of a Peyton Manning curse going on in Indy, I think. I mean, ever since he's left, they just have struggled. I mean, Andrew Luck retiring definitely hurts too.
Yeah.
I think I was looking at like what's his name? Frank Reich's quarterbacks. What?
It's not been great.
Yeah,
what? We're just listening. No, just listening to what you're saying.
I'm fearful I'm freezing, but I have
you've been great
set up so far. Yeah, it was like Jacoby Brissett and other backup quarterbacks. I mean, wrapping up with Sam Ehlinger, which was awful. Good Lord, I started the Patriots defense against them and profited. So
yes,
it was just
absolutely
brutal to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the number one profit in fantasy, I feel like, ever is a Patriots defense versus a rookie quarterback or a rookie-like quarterback.
Generally, yes.
Bill Belichick just knows what he's doing against inexperienced quarterbacks.
All right, we'll move on to my Blursed of the week. My Blursed is Dansby saying it's just business. And then allegedly he unfollowed the Braves on Instagram. So it's looking like things are not going to come to fruition here between the two sides.
No.
I followed that story up a little bit. Apparently he hadn't been following the Braves for a while anyways. Like it was already a thing. So
sorry. I don't follow my employer either on Instagram.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I don't get the big deal about it. I mean, I guess for some people it is, but I will say that there was good news and bad news. Did he make that announcement during his hour-long interview with 19 on the Game?
I'm not sure
because he did an hour-long interview with Mike Bell and Carl Dukes.
Yeah,
good
and
Lord.
Apparently,
could they possibly ask him for an hour?
Well, so like it was like there are 3 different segments at the different throughout the hour. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't listen to all of it, but it seemed like overall a positive interview. But I do feel like he's going to go where whoever offers the most money.
I mean, that phrase alone means to me he's going to take the biggest deal, and that's not going to be us.
Nope.
And so what I'm getting at, the blessed side of this is that AA is going to sign the most valuable shortstop. So that doesn't necessarily mean like the most expensive. He's going to get the best value. So whether that is Trey Turner. It may be more money than what we offer Dansby, but we pay players what they're worth, and that's how the Braves get their advantage compared to these other big market teams. So it'll be interesting to see where Dansby lands. It's a little bittersweet, especially after the whole Freddie thing last year. Hopefully this resolves before Christmas or something like that this year, not right before the season. And I think AA will move quick on it myself.
I have a follow-up Blur's question to this. One, I agree with what you just said. There was the lockout last year, so I think that had a lot to do with what happened. I do think once one of these shortstops go, it's going to be dominoes, and I think the Braves will be somewhere in that mix. But I do want to ask this question. Is there like a double Blur stop this? If we lose Dansby, does that mean that we probably don't win next year either, just because we were looking for that? Not saying we won't win a lot of games. I think we can still be very competitive and win our division. But like to get to the World Series, it takes a whole team effort. It takes that leadership in the clubhouse. Like I just feel like you're still again looking for that leader again. But maybe it's like it's already there. Maybe it is the Albies and
I think it's more about the culture that the Braves have in itself, because the Braves always have that player. It was Chipper Jones. He handed it to Freddie, and then Freddie.
We're still looking for that.
Dansby kind of filled that hole, but like I think Ozzie fills that hole a lot, and we missed him a lot this postseason in his leadership. Hope some guys that's just not for them. So it'll be interesting who would fill that hole. Matt Olson, I heard he's like a little bit more of a quiet guy, but maybe he gets more comfortable in year 2 in Atlanta, in his home city. I don't know. We'll see, and we'll see who comes in. If we don't end up getting a big name shortstop, I would expect us to at least get a big name left fielder. But there's rumors flying around already. It's nice that we're not in a lockout this year, so we'll see news coming more quickly and not right before the season.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was made up, but I saw something about Carlos Rodon being saw like at the in the hotel leaving the Truist.
Yes. Love all those rumors.
I love all that crap too. I like how they're like, I can't confirm this, but a guy who looked like Carlos Rodon walking out.
I mean, professional athletes look so much different in like regular clothes. It's pretty crazy.
Do yeah. So I think I got one here, and it's going to be a pretty clear cut blursening, if you will. Let's start with what happened within the Falcons game. I know we're going to touch on these two things when we talk about the Falcons, certainly, but man, I couldn't think of anything more Blursed than living by the fumble and dying by the fumble in the Falcons game, which was not so much the fumble, I guess, but these reviews, because I want to start the blessed part with dodging a bullet on that horrible tackle on Austin Eckler, where he skated over the top of Isaiah Oliver, got up and ran 40 yards for the touchdown.
By the skin of our teeth did we get out of that.
Exactly. Just barely did his forearm scrape the ground. Isaiah Oliver's very lucky on that one. But then fate reared its ugly head back at us later on in the game when, of course, Eckler actually fumbled. And who was it? Graham picked it up?
Taekwon Graham.
Or Taekwon Graham?
Yeah.
And runs it back for a useless amount of yardage for the most part.
It was a useful amount until what happens right afterwards.
Where he fumbles for no reason. He wasn't even trying to switch ball heads. He just dropped it.
He said he said his interview after the game, he goes, well, I've learned a lesson. Always keep 2 hands on the ball and don't wear these dumb leather gloves. Wear the sticky gloves always. He goes, I don't even care. I'm not a ball handler, but I'm going to wear the sticky gloves from now on. Yeah. Like he just,
man.
Yeah.
But
so I know mine's pretty simple there with just those 2 plays, but obviously if Graham hangs on to that, you would like to think that despite Marcus Mariota's troubles, we drive the ball about 30, 40 more yards and kick a game-winning field goal.
You don't even have to go that far. I think it's like 20 yards or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
it was around midfield.
Yeah, it was around midfield.
Oh Lord! We can go ahead and get in. Let's
dive into
go
that.
there.
Oh well, I guess should we vote on who wins?
Yeah, let's vote the
like Aaron's.
I like all of them because they're pretty.
Blake,
they're all unique.
Buddy. Yeah, make a choice. Stop hanging in the fence.
We can't choose our own, can we?
Choose your own. I don't care.
Good.
I mean, I like my own just because.
I forgot what you said already.
I was talking about the benching of Matt Ryan leading to Jeff Saturday being a head coach.
That is
but
that old.
I like that one only because we're connected to it somehow, some way. But
We
no,
are
I
still
mean,
connected to it.
if there's anything that's like iconic Atlanta, especially when it comes to the Falcons, it is exactly what Aaron said. It's the scoop
in one
scoop and
single
scoop.
play.
Yeah,
It was
Yeah.
perfectly
it
encapsulated. Blursed.
was. It
And
really
so
was.
in the bullpen when we're warming up, guys, Hayden and I were talking about this. Like that one play shouldn't be indicative of the entire game. And I'm not going to put the loss on Taquan Graham. Like he made a heads up play picking the ball up, and it sucks that he fumbled it. Like it does. But he's a second year or first year player out of Texas. I think he's a second year.
It was still a good play.
Yeah, still a great play. And heads up on him picking it up. And even the distance he got was far enough away to hold them now to like not kick a field goal, and then we give up the yards right back on the very next
right.
play.
Okay, we're talking Falcons now, right?
Yeah, we're talking Falcons.
Yeah, we're fully in that
Falcons.
seg.
Falcons.
I love it. Yeah,
Dude,
this is what we needed.
How much are we paying Morgan Freeman? I just
But yeah, and then another thing that sucks, and I get it, it's because there was a change of possession, but it sucks that that's still like a positive play for the defense, even though you did give it back. But the problem with the ball changing hands and then changing hands back is that they got a first down.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they lost like 20 yards, I think, 24 yards.
24 yards.
Like
it was enough to get them out of field goal range.
They lost 24 yards, but they got a new set of downs, which sucks.
Yeah. But my thing is this is like, one, it was horrible coaching. I mean, I just think the Chargers coach is just I don't know if he makes a pass this year. He's not a good coach. Yeah, just not a good. Like, what are you doing right there? Just kneel the ball, kick your field goal. Like you're already in field goal range, and he's still trying to run the ball. Like I know.
Wait, in which are you talking about?
On Eckler's fumble
before the fumble? I thought there was still like 5 minutes left in the game.
No.
Yeah,
there's
like
30 seconds.
It was less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 30 seconds or something like that.
I think that was one of those runs that's like just go set up where the kicker wants to be.
I don't know.
And
like
run a little bit.
Someone on offense did too much where like it's just like you got to just get in the middle of the field, or like don't even go forward then. Just go your knee into the middle of the field. I don't know.
I don't blame coaching for that. I blame a veteran running back letting you down. Because
we can blame Eckler.
And Eckler got completely bailed out. So
yeah, he did. And that's my point is like we shouldn't even been able to win at that point anyways. Like we already blew the game. Like at this point I was so pissed watching. I was just like, we blew this game. This is a Falcons win. And then we had a chance to get back in by just sheer luck. Yep. Like we got lucky. It was like almost like I thought we were to repeat the Panthers game where we luck our way into 2 wins.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. When you make the mistakes that we made like in the Panthers game, you don't beat a good team like that.
No.
And like the Chargers are what 5-2 or 6-2,
5-3,
5-3 now.
So I mean, you don't beat a winning team like that. They know how to win games, and like you only get lucky so many times.
Yeah,
and like you know,
and you usually only get lucky against teams like the Panthers and not the Chargers.
Yep, and then if you saw like the Bucks game, you know they started to get a little bit of life late in the game. They came back and beat the Rams, and so now it seems like they're picking up a little momentum and TB leading the game-winning drive like he always does.
The Bucks are good because their defense is good. Like their offense is still not great. And the crazy part is too is if you look at the standings, the Falcons are still like we have the 5th best record in the NFC.
Yeah,
4-5. We have the 5th best record in the NFC.
It's not good. Yeah.
No, the NFC is horrible.
Yeah.
Bad for the conference, but
we can still get a top 5 pick maybe though, huh?
Hey,
you're in that weird line where you might make the playoffs with a losing record just because of how bad the NFC is through the wild card, which is kind of crazy to say. But I don't know. When you reflect on the game, like looking back, like our running game was perfect. We did 201 rushing yards. CP, thank God to have him back. I just think too, Tyler Algier was able to grow in that time where Cordell Patterson was hurt. Because I mean, he's gotten better every week. And watching him with CP, they were a good punch together, like a good dynamic duo. Yeah. Caleb Huntley still looks great out of the backfield. I thought early on Mariota was looking pretty good, and we were getting people involved like Kyle Pitts, Drake London. But then I don't know what it is, man. Mariota, I knew what it is. This is Mariota. Mariota being Mariota. Like he never sees sacks coming. Like when I feel like they're obvious pressure, like they're coming right at him, he never sees them. He walks into them. And just
some of the sacks this game were not his fault, though.
I agree with that. We're missing our left guard too. So Isaiah Wilkinson went on the IR like on Saturday or something like that, which was I was not happy about that. And you know what's funny was Mayfield didn't even get the start. They put Hennessy in at left guard, who was the starting center last year, and now they're saying he's hurt, so Gossett might start. I don't think Mayfield's going to see his way back in the starting rotation unless we lose every other person.
Probably not. Yeah,
it was pretty awful last year. But yeah, let's look at Mariota's numbers: 12 for 23, 129 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He just he just leaves so like this Chargers team was so beatable. We were in the driver's seat the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And honestly, the defense, while they let us down there at the end of the game in the secondary, holding the Chargers to 20 points, I mean, I know they were missing some pieces and stuff, but you should win a game where you only give up 20 points, no doubt.
Oh, for sure. And especially when you yourself, or you're missing your two best cornerbacks, you're missing your two best defensive players in the secondary, and you still are in a position to win this game. I mean, I don't want to make excuses because they're missing their two best receivers too. So like, if you put them all together, I mean, I'm sure they beat you by more, but my point is like you had a very winnable game, a game that you dictated the entire game, and then you let go at the end because your quarterback can't complete a couple passes.
Dude, the most telling thing was that passing chart that you sent us. Blake forwarded us a graph of every completion that Mariota made, and like anything that was more than like 15 yards down the field, or even stuff that was like a long throw to the sidelines, those were all grayed out because they were incompletions.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you can only run the ball and you can't throw the ball further than 15 yards down the field accurately, you're just every team's gonna just pack the box on us, and we're gonna probably start seeing the run game limited when teams figure that out.
I mean, 9
of
our 12 completions were less than 10 yards away from the line of scrimmage.
That's wild.
9 of the 12, and only one of them was beyond 15 yards. To Hayden's point, so like, I just like. And losing a game like the one we just lost, you can't make excuses for him at the end. Because, like, here's the thing. Like, Mariota didn't play a horrible game. It wasn't a horrible game by him, but he didn't do anything great. He did nothing there he did today on that day made you be like, yep, I'm glad we have him as our quarterback out there. I mean, I'll still say the biggest blunder of the day had to be Drake London's fumble. Like, that fumble was awful. Trying to fight for extra yards, just giving the ball away. Like, because that's a point where Falcons easily go score a game, we win the game. If we score
that was horrible.
Well, what you're inside the 5 with like one of the best run games in the NFL.
Just go down.
Just go down. Just
sit
it's
down.
a first down.
There's
You already
no
got your
reason.
first down.
No reason for that.
And that's why I want to harp on that. Like, I just don't want to take on Graham to get the fault for the loss there. Like, he fumbled that, but there's so many things leading up to that point.
Yeah,
where
it's not
I'll give you another one. The deep ball to Kyle Pitts.
Thank you. That
I'm personally offended by because I have Kyle Pitts starting in fantasy. Yes. I'll tell you, I was pretty upset.
Yeah, that was the one that I think I might have remembered the timestamp of 5 minutes on. Does that sound more right? Was that one around?
Yes.
4 or 5 minutes left to go in the game. That must have been what I was thinking of. But yeah, that one just I rewinded that play 3 or 4 times when I was watching it back. Like, that's bad. Justin Herbert obviously puts that ball right on Kyle Pitts, and he probably go on down and score. I mean, I hate to keep bringing it up. PJ Walker probably puts that right on.
Even
Kyle
if
Pitts.
it's in diving distance, Kyle Pitts is that kind of athlete. He could make a diving catch, and like you're then in field goal range. But like, it wasn't even like on line either, because you saw Kyle Pitts have to readjust his route, and then that's why he tripped, because it was, it was wrong distance, wrong line. That's exactly what we're talking about with the limitations that Mariota's putting on this offense, and it's very frustrating to see it week in, week out. And then the worst part, Kyle Pitts 7 times and only was able to complete them twice.
Because the targets are there, and that's the thing is, like, fantasy people are starting to realize, like, oh wait, guys, Kyle Pitts is getting targets every game. It's their quarterback actually just can't complete it to him at all.
A lot of end zone targets too.
So, a lot of
keep some hope there, my fellow Pitts owners.
Yes.
But yeah, so a lot of frustrations with the game and how it wrapped up.
I will say this though, defense looked great for the whole game. I know that last drive was bad, but like, you look good for a whole game. I'm sorry that our defense couldn't hold them for 4 quarters. Like, it's not our defense's fault. Like, I'm not going to get mad at the defense for like at the very end being tired there. Like, they did a great job all game. I'm sorry your offense couldn't give you anything else.
Another thing that the offense that I think kind of broke bad against us was Cordero had, can't remember where this fell in the game, maybe the third quarter. Cordero broke off like a off-tackle run for about a 30-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. They got called back, because of they called some sort of weird penalty that was like a chop block, but not.
Yeah, it was. But I think he just fell. I think our lineman just fell
down, or like he tried to cut the defensive lineman,
but like
and didn't really do a great job of it. And on the I think when the defensive lineman tried to get away and go towards where the play was, he tripped over the guy's legs, and they called it tripping or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was absolute horse crap, especially since it occurred 20 yards from where
But
the play
didn't we
was happening.
score on that drive still?
That was what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
No, so we did still score on that drive?
We did. And CP is the one who finished the drive, too. But I agree with you. That was almost a big moment where you're like, are you really going to screw us right here? Like,
yeah.
There's so many little things like that through the game. It was a lot of different aspects that, like, they didn't play bad completely in every aspect at all.
Right.
But, like, every aspect of the game had miscues. Even Koo missed that field goal, which would have put the game in a different perspective there at the end.
It just shows you, though, like, the margin, and we've talked about this every time, the margin of error for a Falcons victory is so small because of the talent gap we have against some of these other teams that, like, we have no Khalil Mack on our team. Like, look at their defense. Like, if you look at their defense, like, their defense is not that good for how much money they have into it, but they have a ton of players on their defense side of the ball for the Chargers that we just don't have those name players. We don't on either side of the ball.
Playmakers, you might say.
Yeah, playmakers. Like, here's the thing is they have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen were hurt in this game, but their offense still has Everett, and you still have Eckler coming out of the backfield. Like, you have your quarterback, Herbert's top 10 quarterback. Like, you still have playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and on the defense, they have a playmaker on every single level of the field. And we just don't have that yet. So if you're going to make these boneheaded mistakes, you're not going to beat these good teams. And it's just, it's very frustrating after this weekend too. Like, if you go look at around the league, the Seahawks are 6-3 right now, and they've beat good teams. Like, that win looks really good for us. But, man, it makes you hate even more. Like, that Rams loss now, the Rams look awful. Like, how do we lose that game? Like, and how do you lose that game against the Saints still? Like, and then this game against the Chargers. There's 3 games this year where, like, I know we've had a lot of one-possession games that could have gone either way, but there's 3 games this year where you can look at, you're like, Falcons should have won that game.
And I think I said it at some point in our group chat, just the Falcons play to the level of their competition. So most games are close. But, that cuts both ways. When we play a good team, we play well and we keep it close. Or if we're playing a bad team like the Panthers, who is coming up again this week, we are going to play close with them as well.
Speaking of, that's the Thursday night game, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I think we're wearing those cool helmets too, right?
Yes. The Panthers.
Ooh, which ones?
The Panthers are wearing their new black helmets look really good.
Which look insane.
I think we'll be wearing something cool as well because it's a Thursday night game, I'm sure.
Probably decidedly less cool, but
this is that game that we all circled that could be a game for Ritter to start. Right. I still don't think he will, though, just based on short week and just everything's happening. I don't know. But here's the thing: if you lose to these Panthers, is that what gives you like? Because the Panthers got embarrassed this last week. They were losing 35-0 at halftime to the Bengals.
Yes, it was horrible.
Joe Mixon scored like 5 touchdowns on him or something.
Yeah, it hurt me in fantasy too because they took out Burrows in third quarter because they didn't need him anymore.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
That was awful. I think that if you lose to the Panthers this week, that's when you need to go ahead and start to think about maybe punting the ball on this season.
Yeah.
Which is not something that you can expect players and coaches to do, but perhaps something you can expect the front office to do.
And you can't expect it either with how non-competitive the NFC is. Because like I said, right now we're actually, believe it or not, actually, no, we're not, though. We're actually number 3 in the wild card because the Cowboys and the Giants are both 6-2 in their division, followed by the 8-0 Eagles. So the NFC East is actually the best right now.
We're the garbage side of the NFC.
We are.
Hell yeah.
While the East is like, they're racking up. Even the Commanders are
4 and 5. They're as good as we are.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The future team of Jeff Bezos.
Yes.
Those rumors are swirling around, which is interesting.
They are.
So let's get into what the line is going to be for the Falcons Panthers Thursday night.
Blursed bets.
All right. So Falcons are actually favorites in Week 10. 3-point favorites to the Panthers. Money lines -150 for the Falcons, and over/under is at 43.5. What are you guys thinking?
I would take the Falcons there personally, but the only thing I'm going to say that scares me is the whole revenge factor combined with revenge for the Panthers, combined with the letdown of how we just lost to the Chargers. If Smith and the coaching staff don't do a good job of erasing this week in their heads and getting them focused on a quick turnaround against that's another thing that hurts, it being Thursday. It's a lot easier to have a hangover from the game before when the game's 3 days from now.
Yeah.
And so if you combine that with perhaps the Panthers having the shit just get beat out of them and losing the way they lost to us in Atlanta and those cool helmets, you may have a recipe for an upset there, and it would certainly be an upset if the Panthers beat the Falcons.
Agreed.
With all that being said, I'm gonna for once give Coach Smith a prop here and say that I think that he can, and that this is one of the things that he does a good job of, which is focusing on the moment. I think that he will have this game pushed out of their heads, and that the Falcons will take the dub, and that's a good bet to take.
You want the over or the under? 43
what was the
and a
over?
half.
43.5. I'm taking.
They scored over 60 last time.
Yeah, I'll actually go under this time because I feel like that was a bit of an anomaly.
I like it.
Especially given how we handled the Chargers.
I like that. I'm gonna agree with you. All year we've only had back-to-back losses the whole year, and that was the beginning of the year against the Saints and the Rams, which both of those were winnable. I agree with you. I think we've done a great job of rallying back. I think we'll win. And I'll also go under. I just think I think we're a run heavy team. I think we'll have much more of our way this time with CP being back. I actually think we might smack them too. Like I think we could win by a touchdown or more in this game.
That would be good.
Yeah, and I think that's what I think the Falcons are good enough to do that, and that's the hard part about watching us lose to the Chargers, because I think the Chargers are a good team, and we were managing the game the whole time, and we let the game slip out of our hands. Like I think our defense will step up against these Panthers. And I think the Panthers got exposed this last week that no, they're still bad. They're still a bad team. They even put Sam Darnold in. Like I don't know. They could strike luck, but I think the Falcons are better, and we might get Terrell back for this game, so that would be.
That'd be weird on a short week, but
I think that's why he didn't play.
I'm going to take the Falcons, and then I'll take the over. I think we are going to run the ball like maybe for 300 yards. Mariota's going to throw the ball no more than 15 times tops.
Right. If that.
So I would start Atlanta running backs in fantasy. I don't know if I would touch anything else. But I mean, you have to take the ball out of Mariota's hands, and then one of the things you look for in a good coach is making adjustments, especially on such a short turnaround. PJ Walker is starting against us again, and he balled out a couple weeks ago. I'm looking for us to make some adjustments, and I mean, there's a lot of tape that the Bengals have lined up for us where they just demolished him. So hopefully we can make an adjustment and see some improvement there. So I'll take the Falcons, and then I'll take the over.
Hell yeah.
Wait, did you say wait, why did he not play this last week?
I think he started the game and he threw like a couple of interceptions to start, and then Baker came in.
Baker actually ended up with decent numbers at the end. But it says, the weird part is I'm looking at it, is his name Philip Walker?
Well, I mean, it's PJ Walker. I'm assuming the P might be Philip.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, the name was so...
Some people have abbreviations like that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
They both start with P.
Yeah, he was 3 for 10 for 9 yards.
I got a couple random drops in here too, since we were talking about names here.
I love it.
But I will say,
Jump Street.
This is a perfect transition though into kind of what I was talking to you about earlier, Hayden. And my question for us tonight on the Falcons is, we're talking about quarterbacks, and if we don't win this game, and you're talking about time to punt, move on from quarterback, is that we've been talking about Lamar Jackson all offseason, but I wanted to start asking you other questions. So say Desmond Ritter's not the guy, and like that's why he has not been playing. And Mariota is obviously not the guy. If Aaron Rodgers is for trade next year for pretty cheap, do you go out and get him? Because I looked up his contract. He's actually not owed too much money because they gave him $100-something million in a signing bonus. So like his base salary the next couple of years is like $2 million.
I don't think he would come here.
I don't think he would do that, and I don't think it'd be good for the Falcons either.
No.
I mean, yes, it would be better than Mariota because he has an arm attached to his body still.
Yes.
But, I mean, he is looking a little washed. He doesn't have much talent around him. I would think it's more likely he would retire than go anywhere else.
Anywhere else?
Now.
Okay.
Yeah, he might pull a Gronk and be like, "Oh, I'm traded to the Falcons. Okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and retire then."
Yeah.
Yep.
Although I could see him doing like San Francisco or something since he's from Cali, but
that makes more sense. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Because today I just was sitting there and I was listening to stuff about Aaron Rodgers, and like I do think some of it's he's getting older, but I don't think he's completely washed yet. I do think his talent around him is pretty limited, and I think it's been pretty toxic in Green Bay for the last couple of years. So he obviously wants out. So I don't know. I was just thinking, like, is there any other quarterbacks out there that might be on the move that we'd be interested in?
Matt Ryan.
Hey,
watch out.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other veteran quarterbacks that usually come in and suck for another team.
Right.
Well, just Tennessee. The Tennessee
Joe Flacco.
God,
Yeah.
no,
How
these
is he
guys are
still
past their
playing?
point. They're past. My thing is like Tennessee Titans this year, and they lost this weekend with Malik Willis starting, and he's awful the last 2 weeks. But the fact that they're competitive, even with him starting, and they're playoff bound with Tannehill starting, shows me that like the Falcons could get there even without the quarterback. So I'm not opposed
They
to
could get
doing,
where? To the playoffs?
Yeah.
They're not going to get to a Super Bowl.
No.
Titans were a game away a couple years ago, but
Right.
Tannehill is twice the player that Mariota is.
No, I agree with that, which is why he started.
He
over
replaced
him.
Mariota. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Right.
literally beat him out of the starting job.
I'm not saying Mariota's that guy. I'm just saying like
Hell, and Tannehill's a receiver.
Bag on.
I'm saying they're a Tannehill level player that we could pull in here because Tannehill's never been a top 10 quarterback. I would say.
Never will be.
He's capable.
But no,
I'm
no,
trying-
I
I'm
don't
trying
think
to
there's anybody else other than that we should set our sights on, other than people in the draft or
And
name
Lamar.
Lamar Jackson.
I agree with that.
That's
I would
it.
hope. I would hope
Yeah.
that's where you look. I mean, I'm trying to think any like backups that are out there that are capable. But
Phillip Walker.
We're starting a backup right now, so no.
Yeah, exactly.
Why go that route?
If Tyrod Taylor could ever be healthy, I feel like he had so much potential. But he got
Wait,
screwed
who?
everywhere he went.
Who'd
Tyrod
you
Taylor.
say? Oh, Tyrod
Yeah.
Taylor.
I feel like he got screwed everywhere he went.
He did.
They punctured his fucking lung
Yeah.
for the Chargers.
Yes,
Oh
they
Lord,
did.
poor guy. All right,
They're like, we got to start this Justin Herbert guy.
Since
All
we're
right.
wrapping up NFL, we can get into fantasy sports a little bit more. We touched on it a little.
Fantasy Power Minute.
Ew.
Hey, we got to go quick.
I got a
power minute.
power minute for you right here. Let's
So
go.
as we're coming into the trade deadline in fantasy, guys, what is the most important thing to do at the trade deadline? And just let's think non-keeper league. Let's just think, or actually, no, we could do keeper league. Say you have 2 or 3 keepers, and you're like, what do you do at the trade deadline? What are we doing? Not personally on your team, but like, what are you looking to do?
Well, I mean, to the keeper league aspect, you got to figure out what you're going to do going forward. Do you want to punt on this year and get some keepers, or do you want to move a big time starter?
Yeah.
It's for a couple other starters.
Are you in or are you out? Have you been hot the last few weeks? Have you
Exactly.
been falling apart? But yeah, so you see both sides of that. Different mentalities from different players too. So it's kind of interesting, especially in our own league. It's very competitive.
Yes.
I would
Yes.
say. So some people don't want to give up and think they can go on a run. And you see that some years where teams that start off really poorly, they get into the playoffs somehow and then they get momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if I think back in our own league a couple of years ago, Frank got hot right at the deadline, at the trade deadline, and then he went all the way to the championship.
He
and
did.
like, if you look back at his team, I don't think he had the best team that year, but that's
No.
not what matters in fantasy.
Nope.
And like last year, I sold everything basically to win the championship, and I lost in the ship. So I feel like, I don't know, this year I'm trying to be more strategic and be a little more balanced. I feel like, because I think there's a fine line in keeper league about holding on to some resources that could help you next year, but also could be still good this year. Because I don't know, I still regret trading Jamar Chase last year. I do.
You should.
And I think I
Also-
would have won. If you look at the championship, I would have won if
Oh,
I kept him because he
There's
went
no
off
thing.
all playoffs.
He put up 76 points that week.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah, no, he
Yeah,
did.
he had like 4 touchdowns
And 300 yards or something crazy, or 200 yards.
It's the reason I didn't get last, and it is also the reason why he didn't win the championship.
Yeah. So thinking like, so if I had to give advice to
crazy.
people, it's this. It's one, if you're trying to make a playoff push, you should have been trading this whole time, because how else do you better your team without waivers is trading. But 2, like if you've been waiting on your team and you kind of feel like you got to make your movement, like you got to make a trade here. You do. If you're going for playoffs, you got to try to make a trade. Unless
Blake
you've
is
already
the
made your
trade
trades.
wizard. He pulls off the
is.
most ridiculous, and he gets us, Aaron and myself, from time to time as well.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how he does it.
He-
I don't know how he does it.
he just
I made
inches
3
his way
trades
in.
last year or last
Yes.
week, right at the.
So I guess my last bit of advice would be watch out for folks like Blake. If there's a Blake in your league, be wary of him. You know,
he
give him a second look.
acts maybe a little naive, a
yeah,
little kind.
Exactly.
Everyone knows what I'm going for.
He always leads in with something personal that
it
in
took
a good
us
way. Like
7 years to figure that out.
How's your cousin with polio? Are they doing okay?
I'm not.
What are your thoughts on trading Mark Andrews? You know, I mean,
I've actually been a little less with that with you this year because I know after last year you probably wouldn't want to trade with me. So I've tried a couple of times, but I'm like, you know what? There's probably not going to be much trading with Aaron this year, and I get that. I do. Like, I have not been as pushy, but I feel like I'm learning with everybody this year that I don't know. I've been trying to do. I've lost some more trades this year. I feel like than years past, but you kind of have to in order to make trades happen. You gotta.
It's just like.
It's
so frustrating when you see teams that are not good, and you've been trying to get somebody, or somebody's been trying to get someone from you, and you're just hammering out negotiations over and over, and then all of a sudden someone gives Cooper Kupp away for nothing, or Derrick Henry away for nothing, and it is the most frustrating thing in the world because those are two very real examples that have happened in our league.
No, I think you're bringing up a really good point, though, is the fact that know your player's worth. And don't take the first offer you get. And if that's not the first offer you get and you're not happy with the offers, reach out to people. Like, you're not going to get, like, if you're fighting to get more for your player, you have to do that work yourself because these people they're not going to offer more. Like, I'll tell you right now, like, I know people in our league, I won't say their names, who are all the time will offer something and they're really willing to give you more, but they're not going to give you more without you asking for it. And they're okay with not making the trade. Like they're so disciplined that they're okay with not making the trade because if you're not going to ask for that extra player, they're just not going to make the trade with you because they don't find, but they're willing to give it to you. Like, I don't know.
I'll say real quick, I kind of disagree on your point about make a lot of trades. I make a couple trades, but now that
I said if you hadn't made any trades, you need to make some trades.
Well, you said you should have been making trades this whole time, which may or may not be the case if you had a good draft, but also, there's a benefit in waiting until the last minute at the trade deadline because teams may figure out that they're out of it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then those are the guys that you can prey on, especially if you have a good keeper that you've been holding on to, that they've been eyeing and they're done. Right. Then you get a lot of return for not as much. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye out for. Brady.
Same.
I'm here. Just text me.
Dude, he had
Everybody will be mad at me when I secure Mike Evans and Derrick Henry.
Oh, don't! I tried. I offered him a trade 5 or 6 days ago for those two folks, and I'll be honest with you, it might be the most even trade I've ever put out there. And to which Brady's response was, "I don't think either one of us get better."
I don't think either one.
And he was right. I think that we would have just switched some guys that were almost exactly the same.
Hey, sometimes that happens though, and that's the fun part about trading.
Ooh, and one more little nugget. Look and see, like, if you're trading a player and you feel like it's dead even, look and see if maybe the player you're trading for, their buy is passed already.
Right.
And you pick up a week of points, essentially.
Exactly.
And so you don't have to deal with the bye week, and you get a player that has already participated in their bye week.
Yes.
So
for sure.
That's the last little bit there.
But yes, if your team's not in the driver's seat right now, you have to make a move or someone else is going to make it. That's all I'm saying.
Might as well try. All right, let's get into these Bulldogs. Shout out to my dog Kitty who participated in this drop.
How about them dogs?
Hell yes. All right, yeah. All right. So how about them dogs indeed, man? This game, first of all, I guess I got to eat a little bit of crow because I said it would be a 1-score game, I think. Hayden, I believe you had almost the exact scoreline pinned down. Didn't you say somewhere along the lines of like 28-14 or something like that?
Yeah, I think I did, or like 21-35 or somewhere.
Yeah,
I said the under, which was at 65, and then Dogs by 2 tutties. But yeah, it hit it right on the head there. It was nice because it was a little bit more relaxing.
I also said those same things. I just want my credit. I didn't give a score.
Piggybacked off of what I said. So.
Yeah, Blake. Yeah,
I piggyback. I don't make it my own.
No, but man, I mean, let's get into it though. It's what an exciting game to get into here. I mean, we literally took the best offense that we have seen in several years. They remind me of the Oregon Marcus Mariota offense back when Marcus Mariota was a good football player, and Chip Kelly had those guys rolling. And I'll be damned if we didn't just eat their lunch. I mean, we kicked their ass up and down the field. We talked about it before the game, which was what our defense had to do to get Hendon Hooker off his spot and make him uncomfortable, and we did exactly that.
Yeah.
We were underpacing ourselves with sacks coming into the game. I believe we only had 10 going into the game, and I think we had 8 this game. Yeah. So
we demolished.
Let me make sure of that real quick. Yeah. No, actually, I'm wrong. We had 6. We had 6.
We had a couple taken back because of penalties.
6 sacks and 8 tackles for a loss on the game. And I mean, that's just exactly what you've got to do against an offense like this, and that's exactly what we did. Hendon Hooker finished with 195 yards, 0 tutties, and an interception with a 60.7 QBR. And I just want to throw that up against a comparison with our boy, old Stet, who had a 98.1 QBR, 2 tutties, 0 picks, 257 yards
and a rushing touchdown.
Yes.
Shout out to Stet. I mean, we give him a lot of crap for sometimes it seems like he might be a little bit off his game. That was not the case at all. And you could tell immediately. Big game Stet. He got his fade going back. He felt confident with that haircut. And he was just on the money. Every pass just about was where he wanted it to be. No, didn't put it in a bad spot. He picked his spot and ran for a touchdown when he needed to. It felt like nothing. Like everything he was doing was perfect, and you can feel it.
That's what this Georgia team has to do to win big ball games, as we saw in the national championship, as we saw against Oregon, and as we will continue to see. And Stet stepped up again, especially since it kind of went down the way that we said it might in last week's Blursed, with the fact that their front 7 is pretty good. They have a pretty good run defense. It's that secondary that is god-awful.
Mm-hmm.
And we played said god-awful secondary and took advantage of it. We had pass completions of 37, 49, 52 on the day. And that 37-yarder was a touchdown to Ladd. Shout out. That's Hayden's favorite player.
He did an interview after the game about what changed, and he did admit that he was getting in his head and letting plays carry over to different plays, and he's worked on trying to change that, and he has, and you can tell in how he's playing. He looked very sure-handed. He was making great moves. He looked more confident in himself. So I'm glad that he's worked through that a little bit, and hopefully we get that permanently.
Because I think one of Stet's long, not the 37-yarder, but one of his other catches was it was a crucial third down, which we need to talk about third downs as well. I think if you were to point out one reason why the game went the way it did, it was third downs. But it was when the game had started getting sloppy as far as the weather. The rain had started to pour, and there was a crucial 3rd and 4, and it was almost an identical type play that we ran in the national championship game, where it was just like a little dink, a little you let a blocker free in Stet's face, and Stet just dinks it over him to a little swing route out of the backfield, and but that was to Ladd, and I think Ladd took it 20 or 30 yards down the field after that, and yeah, I mean, he just looked exactly like you said, Aiden. He looked back. Yeah, he looked like he did.
We need him.
Oregon.
We need him. And he wasn't the only receiver that stepped up either, because it looked like Tennessee's game plan was to limit the tight ends.
And they did.
My opinion. Yeah, and they did. But some of these other guys finally stepped up. Ladd,
exactly.
Like we were talking about. Who else?
Arian Smith had that huge
52-yarder.
Jack Saint.
Well, what a
awesome
catch!
What a throw and
touchdown
catch.
Right before the half.
Incredible.
Yes. My God, that was good.
It was thrown perfectly.
What I loved about the coaching and the play calling they did here was Kirby's just so smart. He goes, all right, you know what? We're up 24-6 at halftime. We're just gonna milk the clock the rest of the game. I'll be honest with you, Georgia did not play aggressive at all in the second half offensively. No. And I think there's a reason for that. He goes, once you go up 21-3 like we did, he knew at that point. Yes, the weather. I agree.
I do really want to point out the weather there because it was not just any old rain. It was a straight up. It was a mollywop. You know,
it was.
It was a.
But we scored those first.
It was a Fetty Wap.
We scored those first 21 points on like 12 plays or something like that. Like no time at all passed. And then for the rest of the game, like we caught up on time of possession because we just milked the clock for the rest of the game. I don't know. I thought it was great coaching. Something that made me worried though was Tennessee actually leads the SEC in turnovers, like turnover differential. And they got that early turnover on that fumble. And I was like, oh
first
my God.
drive of the game.
I was quite nervous. Who was it? Dejan coughed it up?
Yeah, he coughed it up.
But I mean, it happens. It is interesting. Like I was looking at the carry breakdown, and Dejan still had 16 carries to Kenny McIntosh's 10, and I thought Kenny looked pretty dominant.
Kenny's was
looked explosive.
Yeah, he did have a long catch, he had 2 catches for 57 yards as well. So shout out Kenny, hell of a game.
So let's circle back to that third down thing there. I got the numbers in front of me now. Tennessee on the day was 2 of 14 on third down. 2 of 14. Georgia, on the other hand, was 7 of 12. I mean, that's you. I mean, seriously,
you want to be over 50%. Yeah.
Well, not only that, I'm just saying that you literally don't have to look at really any 2 other metrics other than their third down efficiency and our third down efficiency to see how this game, or to see why this game went the way that it did.
But you know why that was? At least from what I was hearing on like the broadcast, was that fact that Tennessee actually depends a lot more on the running game than people think they do, and that they couldn't. They were never getting a 3rd and short ever, so they're having to throw on all those plays, and then we were able to pin back because it wasn't 3rd and short. We could just put pressure.
Their big hitters in the passing game come on 1st and 2nd down. Generally, throughout the year, they've come on 1st and 2nd down. 3rd down, a lot of time they're trying to run the ball. And just as you said, that did not happen. Georgia barely let them into anything shorter than a 3rd and 6 throughout the day. And that's exactly why. I mean, 2 of 14 is just awful. I can't stop saying it. It's really bad.
It's dominant by the defense. I will say there were like a couple of shots down the field that if Hooker connects with his receiver, that would have made it a closer game. And I think we got bailed out a little bit by overthrows.
But he got pressured though too, like on those. Exactly. I was going to say that, like so many Tennessee fans on Twitter were like, "We just missed our throws." It's like you're missing your throws because your guy's running for his life.
Well, like not only that, but yes, okay. So even if they weren't pressured, because I think there was at least one that wasn't a pressure and he just straight missed him. But guess what? Yeah. Our quarterback didn't do that.
Yeah, right.
You know, like so that's not an excuse. It's not like some unforeseen circumstance that your team couldn't prepare for. No, it was literally your player wasn't as good as ours.
Yeah,
and we won.
Oh, so something stuck with me.
It would have been worse.
Right.
Yeah. If without the rain, it would have been, I don't know,
100%. Because
at least
obviously,
game.
What Blake said is exactly what happened. Todd Monken did not call the same game in the second half.
Not at all
in the first half. And I think it was from direction from Kirby. It was grind out the clock, and especially when the ball started getting really wet. And we just executed it really well. And it was super exciting to see.
No, something else too that I don't know. I just feel like Georgia's there now. Like we've now. I don't want to say supplanted Alabama because I feel like Alabama's. I think they can have one down here, get 2 losses. Like I'll give them that, but like. We're now that perennial team, though, because it's been the last 3 or 4 years that we've been in the college football playoffs or we've been in the hunt for it. And I think Tennessee kind of reminds me of where Georgia was 10 years ago. Like you have a good team. You may be able to make it there, but you're just not there yet. And Georgia just looked more poised all day. I know we were playing at home. I know that helped us a lot, but Georgia's been there before. The players have been in these big games before that Tennessee just has not been in.
I think the home game was a big deal, but even just the way that it looked on the field, it looked like a mismatch. It looked like we would have gone in and won in Tennessee too.
It reminded me of I want to say this was my sophomore year of college when Alabama comes and plays Georgia at home in Athens. And I waited in the rain for so long to go to the game.
I remember that game.
And at halftime, I think we were losing 21-0 or something like that at halftime. And it kind of, not saying that we didn't beat Tennessee that bad compared to that game, because I think the final score of that game was like 42 to like
yeah, I think it was
awful.
44-10 or something.
It was bad.
It was really bad.
But my point is, one, we probably could have got there if we didn't change our play calling. I think the Tennessee team's a better team than we were that year too. But two, it's like we're that Alabama team now, though. We're that team that we're gonna whoop on anyone. You're gonna come play us like we whooped on Oregon. That Oregon team's been 8-0, and Bo Nix has looked like almost a Heisman winner since then. And it doesn't matter though. We whooped them. Like, we're just better.
I think it just shows so much more, like, how just this weird step above everybody Georgia seems to be. I mean, teams like Tennessee and Alabama play each other, and you get phenomenal, like, instant classics, like what occurred in Neyland a few weeks ago. And then you've got Oregon going on a roll, and Bo Nix looking like a Heisman candidate. Yet when he played Georgia, he looked like a high school quarterback. He looked like Bo Nix that was at Auburn. Yeah. And I think that would be the same thing. If we played Oregon tomorrow, or this upcoming week, I should say, it would be the same thing.
Yeah.
It could happen. We might see Oregon in
the college football
playoff, which would be pretty crazy.
It would.
Honestly, I kind of think, based on what's gone down, Tennessee is now in a position where they could still make the college football playoff.
They could sneak in.
Because of Clemson losing, which was hilarious and great to see. They got manhandled by Notre Dame.
And you called that, Aaron. You did.
Yeah. It was
you heard it first on Blursed.
You did, yep.
Oh, I don't have that yet.
But you said watch them get exposed to this Notre Dame team. We're like, well, Notre Dame's not that good, and you said that's my point. Like, they're going to
exactly. They're not good,
and they got exposed.
So, yes.
No, and Alabama lost LSU, which I'm being honest, like, LSU does look better under Brian Kelly. Like, they got that first loss early in the season, but Brian Kelly's a good coach.
And I don't like Brian Kelly at all, but I don't dislike him because of, I think he's a bad coach. Yeah. I think he's a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
I don't think he's great. I don't think he's elite. But it is impressive to see what he's done with this LSU team. And as much as I don't like him, I have to bring up what the ballsiness, the colossal cojones that he clearly had to go for it on that 2-point conversion that he did not have to go for. That was, I mean, I don't think I can respect anything in sports more than the odd occasion when a coach goes, the game is ending on this play. One way or the other, there will not be another play after this very play. And to make that call and win, I mean, it's awesome.
I like it too, especially when you see like Alabama kind of regaining some of that momentum there at the end of that game.
They did,
so yeah. I enjoyed that aspect of it a lot, actually. And I don't know. I just think the Dawgs obviously were in our driver's seat now, and I think the only other team that looks as good at which things can change college football. It's not. These are kids at the end of the day. Like, they could have a bad Saturday and we could lose a game. But Ohio State, to me right now, is the only team that could give us a run for our money, only because their offense is just that good. I don't know how good their defense is, but their offense, when you have receivers as good as they do, you're in every game you play. Like, you just have a chance. So I don't know. I'm very excited though. The season's going not exactly how we thought it would go based on who's been the big dog for playing.
It's honestly gone weirdly better than we thought it would.
But yeah, but we've been better than we thought we would be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We looked at the schedule,
we picked
the three
them
of
to
us
be
beforehand.
Undefeated, I'm pretty sure.
We did. That's what I'm saying. We picked them to go 12-0, but at least the way I was thinking of it when we did that episode was like they were 12-0 because of what we knew they would be as a floor, not what we thought they could be as a ceiling. And based off how that schedule looked to be pretty bad, turns out that the schedule was much better than we thought it would have, that it was, with Oregon and Tennessee.
Yeah.
But we are better than I thought we would be as well.
The crazy part though is, who would have guessed their two closest games would be Missouri and Kent State?
Yeah, but and so that's the thing. We were able to get tested by some teams that I think they thought they were better than, and they are. But
yeah.
It's one thing to think that, and another thing to go out there and be it.
All right, let's take a look ahead here, guys. Let's do one more of these. So,
Blursed bets.
That one's a little
long.
I
like those.
I
like them. No, I really like them.
So Georgia at Mississippi State this upcoming Saturday. Let's see. The spread is Georgia minus 16.5. Over under is set at 53.5. So what are we thinking?
I'm going over and give me the Dawgs.
Yeah, I'm going over in Dawgs too because of that Mississippi State air raid. I think they're going to score a few more points on us than Tennessee did, to be honest with you.
Really?
I don't think they're as good.
Yeah. So you think it's going to be a three?
I think we're going to
game?
beat the shit out of them, but I think they're going to have more than 13 points when it's all said and done.
They only put up 6 against Alabama.
I know, but it's just I don't know.
Oof.
I'm feeling a weird letdown after Tennessee.
I can see that, and we're playing them at home. I do think we smacked this team though. I
would say something. Go ahead.
I was just say the crazy part. If you look at our schedule, because like we talked about this as the season's gone on, and like we beat Auburn 42-10, and that was the game where I don't even feel like we played the best, and we beat them 42-10. Just how good are we? You know what I mean? Like if you really looked at perspective of how bad we've beaten teams all year. God, we're so great. We're just so good. So I just give me all the points. Give me the over. Dogs by 90. I don't know.
I'll take the Dogs and under because I think you'll see a score that's closer to like 42-10, which would keep it on the under there at 50, which is 53.5.
What if we score 55?
I guess I lose. We don't have any repercussions for that yet. Maybe we'll have to figure something out.
We should have like a rolling thing going, and like the money doesn't get paid out to the end of the year, and it goes to whoever actually had like the net positive, and everyone, you know what I mean? Yeah, whoever
can do that.
It doesn't not money. It needs to be like shame of some kind.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll figure out.
How can we shame someone?
There'll be a winner.
Like
and
they have
loser,
to do something on the pod or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like this. I like this.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Something's coming to mind. I'm gonna stick that in my back pocket and sit on it. For now.
Like you have to do an entire sing through of "Kiss from a Rose" by Seal or something.
Ooh.
You know.
I
think that would be kind of electric.
That makes me think
Like
karaoke of your choice.
A karaoke of your choice. Basically, we get the actual audio on here, and then you just sing along to it.
And if it's tied for loser, you have to do a duet.
That's a
and then you kiss
like
at the end.
Through the computers.
Nope. Sorry, maybe that was just me.
Now,
no, we can kiss
all
at
right.
the end.
Anything else you guys want to talk about going into Mississippi State? It's another pretty big spread. I don't know. We don't expect much except a blowout. It seems.
Right.
Hopefully we don't have a letdown.
Yes.
No,
I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, no letdown. But I don't think
I got a good drop for this. Actually, this is Mississippi State this week.
I'm in danger.
There we go.
Hey, you're absolutely killing it right now.
I love
Crushing it.
I love
We're a professional podcast.
We are.
Somebody sponsor us.
Somebody,
please, God.
All right, let's pivot on to the Hawks here.
4-3.
There it is. Oh, we need to get that audio too.
We do. So let's look at the Hawks. So this is crazy. We actually recorded last week after we got dismantled by the Raptors, and we were talking, and we're like, man, we have a hard 3 games between now and next time we record, and there's really only 2, and today is the Bucks playing. But yeah, we go on to beat the Knicks after being down by 20 points in the first half of that game, which is crazy because we end up winning that game by double digits. And then we beat the Pelicans in in overtime. I will say this is a game I feel like we should have ended before overtime in regulation. Like we were in the driver's seat. We got to figure out how to close those games away. But the Pelicans are a really good team, and we beat that team in overtime. And now you're going into tonight's game against the Bucks, who are actually an undefeated 9-0. Wow. They're the only undefeated team left in the NBA. They currently sit on top of the Eastern Conference. We're in 4th place though at 6-3. We're tied with the Celtics, and then the Cavs are ahead of us at 8-1, and behind us are the Raptors, who are 6-4, who beat us in their head-to-head. So I don't know, man. I've just like if you look back to where we were last week after the Raptors game, and I know Aaron was saying this last week after the Raptors game, where it's like, or maybe we're just bad and maybe we're going to fire our coach, like, because this shouldn't be the case. But no, you go on to have 2 impressive wins. Like that Knicks team's not a bad team. You battle back from being down double digits, you win that game. And then same with the what am I trying to say? The Pelicans. Pelicans are good team. Well, you go on and beat them too. So just 2 great wins. And I don't know if we win tonight against the Bucks, but it'd be nice to give them their first loss in the season. And I think we're capable of doing it. I really do.
At 6-3 through the first 9 games, are you guys happy?
Yeah. Aaron and I said 6-4 was the worst that we'd be happy with.
6-4 would be the worst. So if they lose tonight, they're
7-3 would be great, honestly. And if you look at the teams we lost to, it sucks you lost to that Hornets team, which I wish we could take that back and be 8-2. Like an 8-2 would be great through the first 10. But no,
Hornets are now 3-7.
Yeah.
No.
They
started
you
off hot.
want that one back big time.
Dude,
but I think I'm hoping. It seems as though there was a bit of a turning point, at least an early season turning point, with that 23-point comeback win
over the Knicks
against the Knicks the other day, because that's one of the rarest comebacks that you can find in sports. It was a blowout, and then we came back and then we blew them out.
Yeah, and then we blew them out.
That normally does not happen.
Everybody's getting blown on that night.
Yes,
a lot
everybody
blowing.
got blue in Madison Square Garden that night.
And what it reminded me of was actually the Hawks of 2 years ago, Aaron, where like, remember we just couldn't ever be out of a game, like when we were on that streak right after they fired Lloyd Pierce, and the Hawks just like for some reason every game we'd have an answer to them like making a basket. We would make a basket back and battle back in. Like I feel like we were always in a game. That's kind of what it reminded me of. Like we were down, but we were not out. Like we immediately fall back into it. And in the second half, there was nothing.
All it took was one player to get the team going, with DJM going off. Yeah, it was just really cool to see, especially because we hate the Knicks, and it was in Madison Square Garden, like we said.
Oh, and DJM's perfectly is that Batman Robin kind of thing with Trey right there.
Yes,
he's also another villain now.
Because it seems like the team goes as DJM goes.
Yeah, right now it actually does. It does seem that way right now, which is interesting.
So we have this hot take question: is DeJounte more important to the Hawks' success than Trey? And I mean, I'm gonna put out the real answer. I don't believe so. Trey's the best player on the team. He's a top 5 offensive player in the league, and I think our peak and our height, as far as we'll go, depends on Trey. It does. But I will also say this: through our first 9 games, Trey's been bad. Actually, I have some stats right here for you. It's gonna blow. Like the fact that we're 6-3 right now, and Trey's been this bad, shows you how good we are and how good we could be. So Trae Young currently has his worst marks, and he's not. And when I say he's bad, I'm saying like this is bad for Trae Young. Bad. It's not bad. So Trae Young currently has the worst marks of his career in 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, field goal percentage, estimated field goal percentage, and turnovers. So he's actually having his worst shooting he's ever had in the NBA, and he's having his highest turnover mark he's ever had in the NBA. Yet we're 6-3 going into our 10th game of the season. So to that, I will say that yes, through these first 10 games, actually DeJounte Murray has been like kind of that winning factor. But overall, I do believe Trey's still.
To me, I'm actually going to go with yes. The team is going to go with how DJM goes. Like he is actually the more important piece, and maybe not more important piece, but the more vital variable piece. I guess I could say, because to me, the reason I'm saying that is I'm not saying he's better than Trey, because he's not. What I'm saying is we know what Trey is right now. We know what Trey's going to be. We know what he can be and what he is going to be. He is a superstar in this league, and he's going to continue to be one. He'll have his ups and downs, just like all of them, perhaps more up and down than a lot of people based off how he likes to play. Mm-hmm. But we know what Trey's going to do. Yet with DJM, he's for the first time in his career on a good team. And he is such a focal point in our offense that we're going to have Trey do his thing. If DJM can play up to that level or just play off of Trey's, like pick us up when we're down and Trey's down, and Trey will do the same when he's down, I think that is that's a recipe for success, and why I think that he actually is more who I'm looking towards performance-wise than Trey.
I want you guys to imagine something real quick. There's a template that the Golden State Warriors put together. Draymond Green is not better than Steph Curry, but he is so necessary for the success of that team because he does all the stuff that Steph can't.
100%.
And I think that's kind of what we're getting out of DJM right now. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I love saying DJM because I have such a hard time saying his name, or any name in general.
Just say Dejon Trey.
That just confuses me more. But it feels like you have those two pieces of that template, and so maybe we have the third player is someone else that's going to step up into. Oh, for sure. Not necessarily the same play style as Klay Thompson, but something that would fit.
Similar. But I think you already have it though. With Trey and DeJounte would be your Steph, Klay kind of guards, and I think John Collins is your.
That's exactly the opposite of what I said.
Or DeAndre Hunter. No, but I mean,
you know it better than me, though.
If you're looking at a positional standpoint, that's what it would be. But no, I agree with you. Like, you brought DeJounte in for that defensive grit, that tenacity that Draymond brings to the Warriors. That Klay
hopefully less of an asshole than Draymond.
Right.
Yeah, DeJounte seems like way less of an asshole. But the thing about Draymond is, like, he's your asshole if he's on your team. Like, I would still love to have I love Draymond Green, and I would love to have him on our team.
I personally love my asshole.
Yeah, so same. Yeah. So, wow. There you go.
Assaults his own teammates. So
fun facts though, people are like, "Oh, I don't know how DeJounte and Trey will both average around 10 assists per game." Well, fun fact, they're both in the top 10 right now in assists per game.
They're doing it.
Yeah, Trey's averaging 9.4 assists and DeJounte's averaging 8.1 assists. So
yeah,
they're doing
a little under. They're basically doing it.
They're basically doing it. This is crazy. So Trey with all those horrible, like his worst shooting and all that stuff that we've been talking about, he's still averaging 28.2 points per game.
Which is awesome.
4 assists. He's almost averaging 30 and 10. Almost.
That's basically to what I was just saying as far as like his floor is
so high. It's so high. It is unreal so high. But I like what you said, Aaron, and I think there's a lot of truth to it that you brought DeJounte in here for a reason. Like he was brought in here to be that part we were missing. And so you know what the team's capable of with Trey and with the rest of the people here. But DeJounte is that, what are we capable of plus him? And that's exactly what you're seeing these first 9 games. Because without him, we're probably have a losing record right now. We do. But that's why you bring him in here. Like, that's why you did these things. And I think, if anything, as a Hawks fan, you should be encouraged about what you've seen so far. Because I think we only go up from here as Trey and DeJounte play together. Like, that's my hope. That's my...
And I'm excited about tonight's game, personally. I really am.
Yeah, I think we can beat the Bucks tonight. I think this could be the Bucks' first loss. If you look, the Bucks have been really good defensively on the season, but offensively, they haven't been as great. And if you look at the Hawks, like, I know we gave it 139 to the Raptors, but we found something against the Knicks. Our defense came alive. And against the Pelicans, too. The Pelicans are just a good team. They are a good team. What I want to see... Oh, sorry.
Guys, I got a dip here in a second, so I'll let Blake take it home. I made you admin so you can end the meeting. And the last thing I'll say, the Bucks, you better watch out for those Hawks because...
Fuck around, find out.
There it is.
There it is, folks.
Bring us home, Blake. See you guys.
Hayden.
Bye, Hayden. Yeah, I don't know. So my thing is on this, if you look... if you...
Sorry, folks. Hayden's being a little goofball.
Yeah. The thing that made me nervous in the Pelicans game, Aaron, was that I felt like we couldn't close the game. Like it was a game that I felt like we had a lot of chances to pull away and close it, but we couldn't. And I'll give the Pelicans credit. They're a great team. They have a lot of good players, so it's going to be hard to do that against. But I'd like to see us, maybe not against the Bucks tonight either. Maybe this is a back and forth kind of game. But I'd like to see us against some of these lesser opponent teams start to pull away and finish games early. Like I want to start seeing us close these games out ahead of schedule.
What time do they come on? 8:15.
They play 8:15 tonight. So what is your general takeaway right now in the Hawks? How are you feeling? What's your vibe check coming on 10 games?
Well, much better now than it was last episode we recorded because of those past 2 games. But that's because, and it isn't a surprise though. While I feel better, it's not a surprise, and that's because they did exactly what we said they had to do. We recorded that episode with them at
4 and 3.
4 and 3. Thank you. Yeah, because they're 6 and 3 now. Exactly. We recorded that episode at 4 and 3, and we were saying, bad. This is bad. This has been bad. And it was at the time. But we said, given it's still within the first 10 games, if they can go out and win the remainder of these 10 games and finish at 7
and 3. We said 2 out of 3. We said 2 out of 3 would be the worst.
Well, no, I'm not that. Hold on. It's just that if we get 7 out of the first 10, that's great, especially because that means a win against the Bucks tonight.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
And a Bucks loss that was a very close one. That was a very, it wasn't like you got blown out of that game against the Bucks earlier.
Right.
The first one we played, I mean. But even if we lose tonight, 6 and 4 is better. It's like you already pointed out, it is the floor through the first 10 that we would have still been okay with. So, I'm happy about the overtime win. It's always nice to finish out a game there. And then the I can't stop thinking about the Knicks win. Honestly, the Knicks beating the hell out of the Knicks the way that we did, beating any NBA team 32-10 in one quarter is impressive.
It's very impressive, and
that was the third quarter, right?
It was the third quarter. Yeah, so you're coming out with all the starters out there, fresh off the bench, fresh out of the locker room. What I like too about that game, like even if you look before that quarter, because some people don't realize that the Hawks were trending in the right direction in the second quarter. Not early in the second quarter because that's when they had their biggest lead. But we actually outscored the Knicks in that quarter, and especially if you look at the last 5 minutes of that quarter, we were starting to put on a clinic. We only beat them by 3 points in the quarter total, but it just started the spark that led us into the next half. But I'll say this, like if you look at the standings right now, if we do lose tonight, 6-4, 6-4 is still better than I thought it would be at this point coming in this season. Because I did not predict teams like the 76ers would be 4-6 at this point.
Yeah,
like,
no, in
same with
that
the Nets are 4-6.
that way, I totally agree.
The Heat are 4-6, but we talked about this before the season. We thought they wouldn't be as good as they were last year because
we knew that he wouldn't be.
They didn't bring anyone in. Like,
No.
and they can still turn it around, like because they have a great coach and still some good players, but they didn't bring anyone to replace some of the key losses they had.
Right.
Yeah. So going to tonight's game, I think what's important is just a strong game.
It's in Atlanta then, right? Tonight.
I actually
because we played in Milwaukee the first time.
Yeah, it's in Atlanta.
Okay, perfect.
And here's the thing: we could give the Milwaukee Bucks their first loss, and this would be a statement win. Like, don't get me wrong, I think we've had some good wins on the season, but this is a game that gets everybody else talking about you as well.
Yes.
Puts you in that national conversation, especially if someone like DeJounte or Trey has a big game tonight. Like, I don't know. I'm pretty hopeful. I'm very optimistic, and I really do think the guys are buying in to the scheme and to playing more defensively. Something that I'm excited about is that Bogey's still coming back because I think we only get better with him coming. So,
exactly. It is here that Bogey is out.
Yeah, he's still
tonight
out
as well. But so is Pat Connaughton. Okay. And I hate Pat Connaughton, and I only hate him because he was so good against us in the playoffs last year.
But, yeah, they're also missing.
Or year before last.
They're also missing Chris Middleton. Still, he's still out.
Oh, is he? Okay,
yeah, that's the thing about the Bucks. They've missed one of their best players this whole year, and they're still 9-0.
I didn't even know Chris Middleton was up.
Yeah, he hasn't played the whole season so far. But if you look at the Bucks, they've been really good defensively. Their offense is just middle of the road. But God, their defense has just been incredible, and that's what they're going to do. I mean, you have the best player in the world on their team. I think Antetokounmpo is the best player.
I agree. Well, let me ask you this. Let's get to looking at picking tonight's game. Why don't we?
Yeah,
so the Hawks are actually favored
at home. Really?
Wait, no. I'm sorry, they're not. It's the Bucks. The Bucks are favored by 3, but it's only by 3. The over under is 226, which I think is probably about right.
I think it's about right too, honestly.
That's about 100. That's what 113 apiece. So, I think that's pretty accurate. But yeah,
I'd probably go under on the game. Honestly, maybe
you might go under on.
I might go under on the game. Yeah, I might. And then you get Hawks with the Bucks into the game as a 4-point favorite.
Oh, are they? I'm looking on ESPN. They're -3.
Oh, it's just probably more updated than what I'm looking at. So, yeah, I would -3. Man, I don't know. I want to say the Hawks win tonight. Basketball is just so hard to predict, though. You know what I mean? It's like the hardest sport.
It's the hardest sport to bet on, in my opinion.
I agree. The people
you can have so much heartbreak in betting on basketball.
Oh, I know. I see prop betting. I feel like it's okay in basketball because you're like, I bet he gets 8 assists. Like,
right, that's much more exactly.
But yeah, I think total points is really hard. What I'll say is this: I expect the Hawks to play a really good game, and I expect us to be there at the winning seconds. Do we win? I don't know. And I know it's such a cop out, but like I don't. Basketball is just so hard. Like, what do you?
It is.
I would love to see a statement game. I'll tell you what I'd love to see. I'd love to see a statement game where the Hawks win by 8 points, 8 to 12 points.
8 to 12. That would be huge. That would be awesome.
Just a big win.
And maybe not being up by 8 to 12 the whole game, but like close game, and then we pull away.
Pull away at the end. Yeah, just pull away. Yeah. Like you do a good job icing the clock and just show that you can. Because here's the thing. Like, does blowing out the Bucks show that you're a great team? I mean, maybe, but also like.
Could just show the Bucks had a bad game.
Bad game, exactly. So I'd like to see a close game. I'd like to see the Hawks win in a close one. I'd like for them to put on a show for the fans, and I hope Trey plays. Like I know he was questionable earlier. I'm not sure what his injury.
He's currently listed as day to day, but
day to day, yeah. So I would like to. If he doesn't play, then man, DeJounte really will have to put on a show.
You know what I think is weird about our series with the Bucks this season? You play every team in the Eastern Conference 4 times, right?
Right.
And we already played them on the 29th. We're playing them tonight. We're also going to play them next Monday as well.
So 3 of our 4 games against them are all in the first
all in the first 3 weeks of the season.
3 weeks of the season. That's ridiculous.
And then we don't play them again until January 11th. But still, I thought that was kind of weird.
That is really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, we play them next Monday. Anyway,
If you had to guess who has the highest plus minus in the game tonight between both teams, who'd you guess?
I mean, it's easy to say Giannis,
Yeah.
but I'll honestly go with DJM.
So they're both wrong.
Really?
Yeah. So Giannis is tied for second with Drew Holiday at 10 plus 105.
Oh wow. Okay. Who's
Grayson
one?
Allen is
Oh,
one
God.
with plus 106.
God, I hate him so much.
I know, me too. DJM though is the number one Hawks player in plus minus right now. It's at plus 98, so he's only 8 behind them or 7 behind them. It makes sense why they would have a couple more players in the top because
Sure, they're 9-0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it makes sense. But yeah, DeJounte has been by far our best plus minus player on the year, and it's not even close. And that's just because what he brings for us on the defensive side.
He does so many things well.
Yeah, he's just so good. He is probably the happiest offseason pickup I've ever been as a Atlanta sports fan. I don't know. Yeah. What about you? Like, I'm saying like every sport.
Whoa, every sport?
Maybe.
I don't know. We've had some big pickups in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. But I like basketball more than baseball, so like it just kind of resonates with me more.
No, it's big. It's big because I don't know. It might be. I mean, it was a trade, right? We didn't sign him in free agency.
It was a trade.
So signing in free agency is normally where you think of like off-season acquisitions as a splash. But yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to give it the crown.
Yeah, right. I agree. I'm early saying
but,
that.
But it's tough for me to think of a better one so far.
Yeah, I don't know. It's by far the most exciting Hawks one in like our lifetime.
A long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can go ahead and say this in my lifetime. This is probably the best trade the Hawks have made since we acquired Mike Bibby.
Yes.
Back when you were just put a little twinkle in your father's eye.
Yeah, I don't even think I had a name yet.
There it is. No, but because when the Hawks acquired Mike Bibby, I remember I was in middle school. It was right when I was first becoming a basketball fan. And the Hawks got Bibby when they were below 500. And he almost single-handedly led them to the playoffs that year after trading for him in the midseason. And we went on to we were the 8 seed, and we went on to take the Boston Celtics, who were the 1 seed, to 7 games.
God, you love to hear it.
Yes, and we did not win that series, but the Celtics went on to win
the championship, right?
The championship. Yeah, that was the anything is possible.
Yeah, that was their big 3, right?
Exactly. That was their big 3 back then with Ray Allen, Paul Pierce, and Cage. And but yeah, no, anyway, so I can't think of a trade that's been this big and perhaps have this big of an ROI for the Hawks since that Bibby trade.
Yeah, it's crazy too that like this is right after the Braves trade for Matt Olson, like just a couple big trades like all within each other.
Yeah.
And and the Falcons traded away Matt Ryan all in the same year. Just crazy.
Yes, it's kind of weird.
It was weird.
2 Matts involved.
Yeah.
A lot of
really
Matts.
Weird. A lot of Matts.
Yes,
a lot of Matts. Someone say too many Matts.
So in fact, I was actually reminded the other day of that Falcons team that had Matt Ryan, Matt Bryant, and Matt Bosher on the team.
I had all the Matty Ices.
All the Matty Ices, yes.
Agreed. So before we end the pod, anything to look forward to this week?
Well, other than tonight's Bucks game, and the upcoming Mississippi State game, one thing that also takes place tonight is UGA men's basketball kicks off.
Oh,
so that'll be something that
Coach Mike White.
Yes, Mike White's first game as a head coach for UGA basketball. We're playing the Catamounts of Western Carolina. We welcome them into Stegman Coliseum. So I'm hoping we
should talk about them real quick before we end the cat. What is your expectations for the we haven't really talked about Georgia men's basketball yet, but what's your expectations for them this year?
Well, there's not been a lot to talk about, but I'll be honest with you. I think we'll be better than people think we will be. And here's what I mean by that. We were picked to be dead last in the SEC.
Really?
Dead last in the SEC media days. So
do you think we make it back to the tournament this first year or no?
Absolutely not. I don't think that happens whatsoever. What I do think, though, is we could maybe be good enough to make it into the NIT, and that would be cool. Any bit of postseason for UGA men's basketball is good. So
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, we just start out with a little Western Carolina tonight. I think it'll honestly be a good litmus test because Western Carolina is historically not that good of a basketball program. So if we come out and struggle against them tonight,
we might be
then
in for a long season.
we might be in for a long season. But if we come out and beat them by 20 or 30, like you would hope, then yeah, maybe that doesn't necessarily tell us that we're going to be really good, but it gives us a floor to look at. You know what I mean? So I guess that's what I'm looking for tonight. I'm looking for Georgia to show us a floor of like, okay, teams like this, we are better than,
Right.
And that's what I want. So either way, best of luck to Mike White and the
the Georgia Bulldogs. Also, if
Georgia
I'm a Tech fan this year too, I think I'm rooting against Josh Pastner. I feel like you want to coach at this point. I don't know how Tech fans feel about him. I was kind of excited when they initially signed or hired him, but now I don't feel I feel that the same way.
Was it last year they made that miracle run to the ACC title game?
Yes, it was. So
that hurts you as well because he gets to put that on his resume.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, don't fire me. Look what I did.
Yeah, look what I did. Yeah, I don't even know if he's taking them to the dance yet, though.
I think maybe once. That is a great question. Let me look at that real quick. While
he's been there since 2017.
Yeah.
He was the ACC Coach of the Year that first year.
Yes. How crazy is that? And it. Let's see. It looks like. Did he take Georgia? I think he may have actually taken them to the tourney.
I just can't remember.
Before. Oh, I'm looking at it right here. Yeah, they made the tourney once in the 2020 season. 2020. They went, and which was
a little asterisk right there. I'm just kidding.
Well, was that COVID?
Did they cancel that tournament though?
That's a good question. No, that's not the tournament they canceled because it says they went to it, so they wouldn't have canceled. Yeah,
well, I think they might have gone to it, but nothing ever happened, which is why I don't remember.
Does it count as going? I guess it would.
It would still count as going.
Yeah, because it says their record is 17-9.
Yeah, I think that was.
And I get that's not enough games. I think that is the season.
Yeah, because that makes sense. March is when everything shut down in 2020. Yeah. So, wow.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then last year they went 12-20 before their little thing. And then, he also had a postseason ban for 1 year too. So
that hurts.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure if any of that was his fault.
The fun in college basketball has started. Let's root for those Georgia teams. I really have nothing on the radar this week, but look at our TikTok. Follow us on the Instagram, on Twitter.
That's right.
On TikTok. Yes. Subscribe, like, share to your friends.
Tell us what's up.
Yeah, send us a sponsor. I don't know.
Yes. If you don't like it, 5-star review, and then send me a handwritten letter detailing exactly what you didn't like.
Yeah. But
I want you to sign it in blood.
Yeah, and the 5-star review needs to have a screenshot in there too to show that you did that.
Right, exactly. I need to see the letter.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you. Shout out to Oh No for making our music. Shout out to our partners for just all their support on this, and shout out to all our friends who listen to us and our family, and to all you, the listeners. Thank you so much. We appreciate all that you do.
See you guys.
Peace.